Hello again, everyone. Another question I received again from one of my own students was in relation to the correction of errors and suspense account question on the higher level paper. Again, this is from 2014's mock exam, the trial balance of C long, and this is question 7, therefore a 100-mark question. Okay, so the specific question I was asked was in relation to error number 2. Okay, so as we know, part A asks us to journalise the necessary corrections for 50 marks. So half of your marks are going on working out the necessary corrections. Okay, so that's doing your T accounts, and then actually journalising them and writing a little summary of what you've done. And unfortunately, you think you have a lot of work putting together your T accounts and you get 0 marks for those. You only get the marks for actually journalising the entries. But hopefully you might gain some workings, and obviously workings are vitally important. And it's important when you're doing workings, regardless of the question, that you clearly lay out your workings. I know, I suppose it's a misnomer to call it rough work, because it shouldn't be that rough that the examiner, the person marking your exam, can't decipher it. So, workings, that's where people lose or gain a lot of marks, is with the inclusion or absence of workings. So, back to the question. So, the error was that payments, so just looking at number 2 there, payments from the business bank account for repairs to business equipment of €790 and for repairs to private dwelling of €960 were entered correctly in the bank account, but respectively credited to the equipment account and credited to the premises account. Okay, so when it comes to the T account, we do two things. We firstly write down what has been done, and then we correct that and show what should have been done. Okay, so I've done it out here. Okay, so I have my first of all, I would only have had these 4 T accounts. Okay, they're very basic. They're just my workings. Okay, they won't be corrected if I've got the answer right. The examiner will just correct it, say that's all right, and won't look at my T accounts. They're just for me to try and work out my own answer. So first of all, and I think I've probably easier to actually do the videos this way, horizontally. So first of all, just read the first thing. So payments from the business bank account for repairs to the business equipment of €790. Okay, so that has been entered correctly in the bank account. Okay, so take it step by step. If you try and do too much, you'll get overwhelmed and you might not be able to do the work you're probably more than fit to do. So you firstly start with a bank account. Okay, so a bank account, as we know, is an asset or a liability depending on the company. Okay, so actually, in this case, if we look at the profit and loss account, the bank is actually a creditor falling due within 1 year, what we used to know as a current liability of €35,000. Okay, but regardless, it doesn't actually matter for this part of the question whether bank is up in current assets or down in creditors falling due within a year. Okay, because we don't need the balance on the account for this. So both the €790 and the €960 I've put on the credit side, okay, because it is money coming out of our bank account. Okay, remember, liabilities go on the credit side. Okay, so if the bank account was an asset, by putting something on the credit side, we're reducing that asset. In other words, we're bringing down the bank balance, or indeed, in this case, the fact that it's on the creditors falling due within 1 year, it doesn't matter because we still put them on the credit side, meaning we're increasing our liability, increasing the amount we owe to the bank in terms of an overdraft. Okay, so the correct entry, okay, so we're told that it was correctly accounted for. Okay, so if money is coming out of our bank account for whatever reason, the money will go on the credit side of the bank account, reducing the bank balance or increasing the overdraft. Okay, So I've put in black, if you're wondering why some things are in black and some are in green, what I've done is things that have happened per the error, I've put those in black. The corrections, the things that should have happened, I've put those in green. Okay, so that's the bank account, and that's the only time, because the bank account is perfect. Okay, the bank account isn't perfect. They owe money, which isn't good. But in terms of the question, everything that was done in the bank account was correct. Okay, so what else happened? Okay, so first of all, money came out of the bank account. Why did money come out of the bank account? Well, firstly, it went to repair business equipment, and the 960 was to repair a private dwelling. Okay, so we were told, if we look at the second part of the the note, okay, so the two figures were entered correctly in the bank account, but respectively credited to the equipment account and credited to the premises account. Okay, so you simply just create two new accounts called equipment and premises. Okay, and we're told that they were credited. So obviously go on the credit side. Okay, so €790 on the credit side of the equipment account, €960 on the credit side of the premises account. Okay, now, so that's everything. That's all the information we're given. So now what we do is we add up our debits and our credits. Okay, so there's 790 and €960 on the credit side of the bank account. Ignore the green because that's what we're going to do next. €790 on the credit side of the equipment account, nothing on the debit side so far. And €960 on the credit side of the premises account. Again, at that stage, nothing on the debit side. Okay, so we've got, when you add up 790, 960, and then another 790 and another 960, you get €3,500, all on the debit, all on the credit side. And as you know, the whole thing about accounting is getting things to balance and double entry. So therefore, if we have more on one side than the other, we are left with, and our fourth item, our fourth account is a suspense. Okay, so we need a suspense account in order to suspend our figures, okay, or suspend our accounts. So if we have a total, in just looking at the black for now, if we have €3,500 between our bank account, our equipment account, and our premises account, all on the credit side, therefore we need the total of those €3,500 on the opposite side, on the debit side of the suspense account. So now we're balanced. Okay, so 3,500 on both sides. Okay, so that's the first part. But again, you'll get no marks, absolutely no marks for doing that, because when we go down to our answer, which I'll show you further down, they are only interested in what should have happened, not what did happen. Okay, so what should have happened? Okay, so going back to the question asked, payments from the business bank account for repairs to business equipment. Okay, so repairs to business equipment. Okay, so they didn't allocate them to repairs. They allocated them to equipment. When do we use, or when do we put something on the credit side of an equipment account? When we have sold a piece of equipment. When do we put something on the debit side of the equipment account? When we have bought or acquired a piece of equipment. Okay, that has not happened here. We didn't buy or sell equipment, therefore the equipment account has to get cancelled. How do we cancel it? We put the figure on the credit side, we match it with a figure on the debit side, and therefore that cancels that account out. Okay, so equipment should not be included there at all, unless it says that we purchased or sold a piece of equipment. Okay, so therefore, instead of it going to equipment, it should instead go to repairs as an expense. Okay, so repairing equipment doesn't give us an added piece of equipment or loses a piece of equipment. It just fixes what we already have, and that is not an asset, that is an expense. So therefore we have our fifth account which we create, which is a repairs account. Repairs is an expense, and we hopefully know at this stage that repairs are an expense and the expenses go on the debit side. So an increase in an expense goes on the debit side. So that's why our €790 goes on the debit side of our repairs account. Okay, so that's the first part done. Okay, so we've gotten rid of our equipment account and we have opened up our repairs account. Okay, so that's that part done. The second part, we don't need to worry about the bank because we were told that that was entered correctly, so we can ignore the bank. Everything's been done right there. The second part is that €960 was for repairs to private dwelling of €960 and that this was credited to the premises account. So a similar story for premises. Okay, we only touch the premises account if we have acquired a piece of or a new premises, if we've built an extension, or indeed if we've sold some premises. Okay, we haven't. Okay, so premises has to get cancelled out. So again, to cancel out a transaction or to cancel out an account, you just copy the figure we had on the credit side, put it on the debit side, and that'll just cancel that account out. Okay, instead, hopefully you will know when you see that word private, okay, you're automatically thinking drawings. Okay, so what are drawings? So drawings is anything taken from the business, okay, for our own private use, okay, or something that's, you know, in our business notes but not for the business. Okay, so if we are taking money out of the business bank account to pay for repairs to our own house, our private dwelling, then it doesn't go into the business accounts. It goes into, well, it does in terms of we have to account for it somehow, but it goes into our final account that we draw, which is our drawings account. And remember the little riddle: debit drawings, credit capital. Okay, so if you have a drawings account and something gets added to drawings or gets added to our private dwelling or some piece of property, then it is debited. So that €960 gets cancelled out of our premises account and instead is put into our drawings account. Okay, so now what we do is we add up our green figures. So our drawings of 960 on the credit side, or sorry, the debit side, our 790 on the repairs account, again on the debit side, our €960 again on the debit side in our premises account, and finally our €790 debiting our equipment account to cancel it out. So if we add, and again, the green signifies what should have happened. Okay, so that's why there's no green in the bank account, because everything was done right there. Okay, so that's what did happen, but what did happen in relation to the bank account was right, so we have no reason to change it. But we had to cancel our equipment account, we had to cancel our premises account, we had to open up a new repairs account, and we had to open up a new drawings account. So adding up the green figures, 960, 790, 960 and 790, all on the debit side, gives us a total of €3,500 on the debit side, zero on the credit side. Therefore, we need to put in, or basically we need to cancel out our suspense account by putting 3,500 on the credit side. Okay, so that gets rid of our suspense, which is really what we're looking to do. We should not have a suspense account. So therefore, and then that is out of your 50 marks, you get nothing for that. But for the work you have to do to get the 50 marks, you have most of it done. So all you're doing simply is taking your green figures in any order you want. The order doesn't matter. And then you put it into a journal. So it's kind of like how your trial balance looks at the beginning of a question one. So you have a debit side, a credit side, and you're just literally copying your green figures and putting them on the same side in the journal. So 790 debit side of equipment, 960 debit side of premises, 790 debit side of repairs, 960 debit side of drawings, and the only credit we have is our suspense of 3,500. Now I haven't done, but if you want, you can add up both sides. They will come to 3,500, but if you want to just check, you get no marks for doing it, but just for your own peace of mind, add up your debits, add up your credits, and put the totals underneath. And then the very final part is just a small, you get 1 mark. So out of the 400 marks going for the exam, out of your 50 marks going for this now, just to bear in mind that this is only one part of part A. Okay. So you probably have about 10 marks going for this, what I'm doing at the moment. But this is only 1 mark. So a total of 5 marks out of 50 are going for the journal descriptions at the bottom. So please do not spend too much time. I have students, current students and students in the past, this was their most difficult part. And if that is the part you find most, and I'll just take this opportunity to apologise for my disgraceful handwriting, but I'll explain what it means in a second. It's literally just like what I've put here is just my own. You're basically just explaining, summarising what you've done. So what we've done is we've recorded payments for repairs and drawings and cancelling incorrect recordings of equipment and premise. And that's it. Okay, so just write down what you've done. So we've cancelled out equipment, we've cancelled out premises, and we've accounted for repairs and drawings. And that's just what I've said there. Recording of payments of repairs and drawings and cancellation of incorrect errors for equipment and premises. And that's it. Just a 1-2 lines maximum. You're only getting 1 solitary mark for putting that in. Okay, so I hope that's question 7. Again, an optional question that may be on your exam this year, may not. But it is, and it can come up, as you know, as a short question also. So it is worth doing and worth understanding. So I hope, again, this is just a question came into from one of my students that I thought I'd share with you. Okay, so this is question 7 from the 2014 mock exam on correction of errors and suspense, part A. Okay, thanks for watching.